Hello, today I have contemporary author Anne Perrault with me, and I'm so excited to get to know her. And we've never met before. Some of these people that have come on here, I've had some interaction with, but you're brand new to me. So
Yes, this is a great opportunity. Thanks. I'm excited to meet you and chat with you. And
me too. I'm just going to have a little caveat here so people know in the background if this sounds a little hustled on her side. So Anne, I think you live out in the boonies, right? So
Yep.
She does not have internet at her house. So she's sitting in a restaurant and she can hardly turn around and tell everybody to shush. So we have a quiet recording.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yes, so it's just bear with us, and we're just going to enjoy this and keep it casual. And so Anne, you have a fascinating life. I looked at all the stuff. I just was blown away. So I don't want to read it off, but you give us a rundown on your life thus far, that you have the life you've had.
Well, I was born and raised in Germany, Hamburg, about 40 minutes away from my extended family. So I grew up with aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever, real close by, very close family. And my dad is a sea captain. Well, he was at sea 90% of the time of my growing up. So when I was about, my mom was a teacher in the local town. When I was about 12, my dad's job shifted to a little bit of more land time where he was living, or whatever, where the boat was, where his company was. And he was at the time in the Middle East, in Dubai. Exactly. And everyone, back then, this was in the early 80s, actually late 70s, early 80s, nobody knew what Dubai was. Everyone, and now everyone, you say Dubai and you're like, oh my gosh, you live there. It was just a little tiny town, gorgeous at the time, surrounded by the desert and stuff like that. So we moved to Dubai in 1980, and I spent, now mind you, I didn't know English at all. I went to a British school. Yep, learned English by being doused in the fire 4 months. It took me to learn English. That was really tough, but I learned it, and and from there on I spent about 3 years permanently in Dubai. Then I had to go to boarding school because my schooling ended in Dubai, and so I went to an American school, in boarding school in Austria, finished my high school education there. I wanted to become a vet, and my parents, they encouraged that. So wasn't quite ready to make the jump over to America because it's a little scary with all my family being in Europe. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. So I decided to do the next best thing. I went to college for 1 year in England, which was a blast. I met my husband there, and he's from America, and spent the same year in England, which was a real cool how that happened. Yeah. And then we moved, and after that year, I had to go to the States to get my degree. So we went to the same school anyway, and got my degree in biology. Did not go to vet school. Got married instead. We moved to Connecticut, where he's from, raised a family. Then about 15 years ago, my husband went and spent 2 years in Iraq as a contractor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. After that, during that time, I homeschooled my kids. I became a therapeutic riding instructor. I spent 15 years teaching regular riding. So horses have been a huge part of my life, and I take that and I do write about it in my books. Not every series, but a lot of times horses are included. And so when he came back, we decided we had enough of kind of Connecticut urban, pretty much suburban Connecticut. And we found land in Vermont, and we've been building our house for 10 years, all of us, like my whole family.
You've been building a house for 10 years?
12 years? No. Don't tell me that. It's 10 years. In my mind, it's 10 years. It's 10 years because 12 years.
Where do you live all this time while you're building a house?
Oh, we've been living in the house
Oh, my
for
goodness.
10 years. It's been camping. You know, glamping? Yeah,
Oh, my
we've been doing
goodness.
glamping.
You
So
must
we've
have the
got,
patience of Job.
I kind of, yeah,
I could not do that. I just
no,
absolutely could not do that.
no,
Okay, so
trust me,
this is
it's not
why
for
Anne
everyone.
doesn't have internet people, because
Correct.
she's camping or glamping it. So for the
Mhm.
last 10 or 12 years.
Well, we had internet during COVID, which is perfect. My youngest is still, well, two of my kids still live with us. One of them has moved off and is a daddy himself. He lives out west, and I just got to see my granddaughter for the first time, so that was exciting. She's 3 months.
When you say out west, how out west where?
Out west in California.
Yeah, what part? You know, I'm originally from California, born and raised my whole
Oh,
life, but Northern
cool.
California. So northern and
Um,
southern are like two different states.
yeah, no, he lives in Central Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. You know, weather is perfect except when I'm there, when it turns from really nice to
Rainy.
heat wave.
Oh, heat wave. Yeah, they've had some horrible weather.
Yes.
We've all had some odd weather this year, I'll tell you.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing like they're dealing with in Florida. So
Oh my
even though
gosh.
this podcast will not be aired until January, we're right in the middle of Hurricane Ian happening on the Florida coast right now. Actually, it landed yesterday. So a lot of prayers for those people have been
Yes.
going out, and
Yes.
it's just unbelievable. We have a lot of friends and people that we're close to that live there. So
Yeah, I
I
know.
stay in contact. So yeah. Okay. So let's jump into a little bit of the
Yeah.
writing. How long have
Yep.
you been writing then? And how did you go from
Okay.
all this other stuff to writing?
How long have I been actually like really writing with a purpose?
Yes.
12 years, 13 years maybe.
So pretty much since you've been building your house, you've been writing.
Yeah, yeah, yep. It just happened. We were yeah, well actually, I mean, I homeschooled my kids. So I wanted there to be some really wholesome stories for my daughter, who was you know, she was a teenager at the time. And so I started to write a story for her.
Mm-hmm.
Way back when we were still in Connecticut. Well, that took me 10 years to write, and I finished it. When I finished it, I was like, I loved writing it so much. I was like, so now what, God? What do you want me to do now? And it was just like very, very clear that, you know, the directive was keep writing. I'm like, what? What? And so I kind of fought that because I wasn't really, I'm not, you know, my background is in science. My
Right.
background is in animal science and horses, and you know, I mean, but looking back on it, I mean, I have a master's in education, and so, you know, looking back on it, and English is my second language on top of all that. So
Nobody would know that to hear you speak, Anne.
no,
You
I
probably
hope
speak
not.
better than most born and raised Americans. So
Yeah, I don't want that German accent, definitely not. But but you know, so God kind of prepared me for writing because I've always had like a story in my head.
Mhm.
I'm like a storyteller. You know, I love stories. Always read. I gravitate towards stories. So he kind of prepared me for that by, you know, forcing me to write long reports and, you know, technical and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I started. I wrote my first book, which was Skating for Grace, in a month.
Now, is that the Royal Skater Chronicle?
Yeah,
series?
that's my first book ever. And I just wrote it. And from that, you know, from the time that I finally agreed to write, I was like, okay, just let me keep writing and writing. I want to do this quick. I don't want to take 12 years on this. You know, I just want to get it out. So it took me a month to write my first story, a month to write the second and third and whatnot. And then, I mean, the stories just for about 4 years, I just kept writing. I mean, I just had to get all these things out. So while I was waiting for the next step, I wasn't even planning on publishing or anything like that. I had looked into publishing, whether to do traditional publishing or not, and I wasn't really excited about doing traditional publishing. And so I kind of just waited and just kept writing. And so in the time that I was waiting and writing, I had amassed about 30 stories.
Oh my goodness.
So they're still waiting. Some of them are still waiting. Most of them are still waiting to be published. So, but finally, I just was moved to self-publish, again, and then the whole struggle started. How money wise, and how am I going to afford it, and stuff like that. And I have because everything costs, the
Right.
editor costs, the designer cost, it's not cheap.
No.
So, and so my husband's like, well, this is your hobby, honey. We're not spending a lot of money on it. So you figure out how to manage it. And so I have a daughter who is incredibly talented. She is an artist, and she was kind of like, what do I do in my life? So I said, well, you're going to design my first cover. You're going to design my covers for me. And she's been doing it ever since. She's learned so much. She's a graphic designer now, trying to get, into the business, but it's really hard. It's really hard for her. And so she's been designing all my covers, and they're so good. I'm so proud of her. It's so much fun. My youngest son is, he's a web designer, and she's gonna have to work on my website, I guess.
We were talking about this when we first got on, for those of you listening, that I couldn't find Anne's website. And even when she gave it to me, it's still
So
an
weird.
error would pop up with an error. So I suggested find a way that people can find you, because I don't know how well, I don't know independent publishing. I've never done it, so I know it's a lot of work. One of the things that for myself that I need is accountability with editors, with learning like the craft. So I attended conferences and workshops for 10 years when I started writing, and was constantly learning. So what do you do to grow your knowledge base of the craft of writing?
There are a lot of things I read a lot. I talk to other authors a lot. I read a lot of ARC books, and I'm beta readers for quite a few well-established authors. And so I'm kind of a person who learns by imitating. It's easier for me to learn that way, and then I turn it into my own kind of thing. So I kind of sit at the feet. I've been part of, I don't know if Susan May Warren's Novel Academy. I've done that, and that was amazing. I'm gonna sign up for it again this year, but it was just so amazing because my skill level just shot right up.
Wow.
And so I read a lot. I study people's writing. People like, I love Ronnie Kindig, Julie Lessman, Susan May, those people. Tamara Lee does not write contemporary, but she's still a wonderful author. So I study their work, and so that's kind of how I go to classes when I can. I haven't done a conference because, well, I just haven't done a conference. There was one in my area and I missed it. And I signed up for one and I never got the confirmation. Oh, wow, it's loud.
You're okay.
Okay. And I never got the confirmation for it. So that was kind of a bummer.
They have a lot of them online now.
Yep. So I'm going to look into that again, just to do the online stuff, which will be fun. So, but that's kind of what I do. I do a lot of, seminars for different authors, there's a lot of marketing help out there. My youngest, he does a lot of marketing. So I've been learning, you talked about learning curve, and I kind of jumped into this like with both, like I always do. I jump in with both feet, knowing a little bit about it, but then I have to learn as I go along. I can't learn beforehand. Wait, I'm not patient, definitely not patient. And so I have to jump in and do it basically.
I think often, you know, writing something out and then in your editing process, applying what you learn is very beneficial too. So do you hire an editor
Yep.
to do all of your editing?
Yeah, I do.
Are you
I
part
do.
of any kind of a critique group or
Yep, I have beta readers, I call them. You
Mhm.
know, they're a great group just of authors and friends that I've met, and they don't mince words. My editor does not mince words, which is very good. I don't mind at all. Tell me straight, you know, if I'm
Right.
being ridiculous, you know. She's very like down to earth. And she'll go, oh no, honey, sugar plum, you can't do this. So I'm like, oh, but. She's like, no.
Well, that's
So
nice.
yeah, we've got a great. We've been working together for 4 years.
Yeah.
So you know, and she's great. And I do have a group of, like I said, I call them beta readers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
indie publishing is not for sissies, is it?
Oh my gosh, no.
Why did you
No.
tell us? So we talked before we started recording here. You have a lot of different series: the Yellowstone series, the Cooper family series, the Royal Skate Chronicles, which is YA and adult. You have I'm looking at my books, but Defending My Father. Tell us about your newest series, which is the Protect and Serve series, and people, just so you're aware, this series is not standalone. So if you're going to read Protect and Serve, because I looked at it and it's the same characters, right?
Yes, it is. I don't know. I like doing that. I enjoy following the same characters for a longer time because you really get to know them. I guess you could say I'm a driven writer. I like getting to know my characters really well. I like following them through life, you know, so they hang out with me for a while as I write. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I do. But To Protect and Serve actually takes place in Boston. And it's centered around a law enforcement officer, Shane Donovan, and Dakota, who is, she is she's a little lost at the beginning of the series because she's stuck in a job she hates. Her self-esteem is not really there, and she is just ready to call it quits basically with life because that's how bad things are going in her mind. And God just kind of steps in like he does for so many, you know, people when they're at that point, and he just kind of plucks her out and says, nope, I'm going to put you on your feet and I'm going to provide for you, and let's just start there. And so her life drastically changes, and she comes upon this law enforcement officer and his partner when she makes a silly decision of taking a shortcut after her shift. She works as a manager at a pizza place, and so she kind of walks through like a rough neighborhood, and she kind of gets herself in trouble. And thankfully, these two law enforcement officers are there, and they kind of help her out and diffuse the situation quickly. And so, you know, the story kind of goes from there. And it was so much fun because Shane, who's the law enforcement officer, he's a fun character to get to know, and he and his rookie partner, they're a lot of fun to follow. They have this relationship where, you know, he's like, no, we're not best friends, you know, and you know, it changes, you know. Right. So and Shane actually wants to become a canine officer, and so he does eventually become one. And so the whole training and the whole, you know, what a canine officer does, it's so fascinating to me because I am somebody who gravitates towards animals, you know, so right. That was a ton of research into that, and ton of fun just researching that and working with that.
So,
yeah.
you know, first, before I forget to ask you this,
Mm.
what are your book lengths usually in word count? What is typical?
Oh, really?
You're not
Okay,
sure?
no, I know it's they're about from 80 to 100,000.
Okay. Yeah, that's about
That's
a little
full length.
high.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is high,
it's a
but
little high.
I like meaty stuff.
Right.
So mhm.
And then so you have these 3 books, you're indie published all the way. How are they doing? I mean,
Great.
and I'm curious because you say that you don't obviously have internet. Do you have to do all of your research somewhere else?
Well, we had internet during COVID. Right
Right.
now, we're in a stage where we are just at the last possible stage of building. Thank you, God. And so, so our internet has just we can't do it right now. And I'm hoping that by the end of October we have to have internet again, because otherwise my son's still in school. He does online schooling, so it's been hard for him too. But we have a library which we kind of use as our personal office, and we usually are there, but it doesn't open until 10. So I'm like,
Oh my gosh, that's late.
yeah.
Just as an aside, my daughter is a librarian.
Oh,
So
wow.
she went and got her master's in information and library science. So
Nice.
getting an intricate idea of what it really is like to be working but their library opens, I guess it must open at 8:30 because
Oh,
she's
wow,
got to
that's
be there by 8:30. So
yeah, yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aside, I know a
But-
lot of people go down there, they have study rooms that you can use
Yep.
and the whole bit, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think people appreciate libraries
Oh,
enough.
I love my library. Oh my gosh. It's a small town library. You know, we live in a town of maybe 10,000 people
Yeah,
in Vermont. So it's a big town. I mean, for Vermont, it's one
right.
of the biggest towns in Vermont. But you know, the library is amazing. I mean, they're like, oh, good morning. I bring my coffee, you know, I bring my snacks, and they're like, they have actually, I love, you know, this is how much I love my library. They have actually set up an area for me to do
Oh,
my work at. That's how they're very accommodating, and they're just amazing, you
that's how
know.
libraries should be.
Yeah, but I do a lot of, like, all my time spent basically is, you know, if I'm writing, I do a lot of research, obviously online. So that's a lot of research that I have to either download or, you know, find online. And then I promote every day, or I did. I went to California last month to see my brand new baby granddaughter, and so I kind of took a vacation.
Oh, you should.
It's been a really rough summer for us because of all the construction we've been doing. So I needed it, and yeah, and so I kind of got out of the promo, but I've been doing a ton of promo for 4 years, and it really shows. You know, I'm very. I do a lot of podcasting, or, you know, I do a lot of interviews. I interview other authors. I'm in a lot of different groups on Facebook, especially. I find that Facebook is a great platform. Yeah, great tool for authors, because I can be sort of personal, you know, with my readers, and they get to know me and I get to know them. And, you know, I love that. And so, I mean, you know, I've seen this year, especially, and also during COVID when everyone was reading, you know, that was helpful. And during COVID, I changed a lot. I have a Facebook group that I started, and I do a lot of live readings with them. So I started that during COVID, and every Monday night I would do I would read from one of my books, or I would ask authors to come on and read from their books. So that's been fun. And yeah, I mean, just getting the name out takes so long, and it's just a lot of work.
Yeah,
A
it is a
lot
lot
of
of
work.
work.
Yeah.
What is a typical writing day for you like, Anne? I mean, how many days a
Typical.
week would you say you write, first of all?
That really all depends on the mindset. I try to write at least once a day, get like 300 words down at least. But when I'm in like editing mode, I can't edit and write at the same time. So it's either one day edit, one day write, one day, I go back and forth. Right now I have to edit and I want to edit quickly because end of the year is coming and I have a deadline in my own mind,
Right.
2 more books, so it's gonna be crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. But yeah, so I mean, I try to write, like I said, at least 100, a couple of hundred words a day. A lot of times I'll do 3,000 words at least. A day is a good day. 3,000 words is a great day, I would say. I've done 10 a day when it just flies. That's not too uncommon when I can just sit, and that's usually when I'm home and there's no distractions and I can just sit in my little corner and I don't have to go anywhere and I have a whole day worth of writing. That's, I just fly, and so that's always a fun day for me.
I'll bet. Yeah, that's a good amount to get done.
Yeah. Usually takes me about a month to write a book.
Goodness sake, it takes me about 3 months to write a full book, but
Yeah.
I can't write until everything I have in the previous day's work is edited. And I'm a voracious editor. So
yeah, I can't do that. I have to just keep focused on the story, and then I'll go, actually, okay, my editing process is a little crazy, and I'm really glad that my editor is okay with it. But I will write, I just explode on the page. Then I may go back over it and just neaten it up, but then I give it to my editor. And she's like, yeah, no, we have to change things. So, then she gives it back to me and I straighten things out. And so it's kind of a back and forth with her, because I need my editor because I don't trust myself, because the story is so, I know the story so well, and I will skip things that are wrong on the page because in my mind they're not, you know what I mean? I just read over things. So
right.
I need her to, go back and say, no, that's wrong.
Interesting. Yeah. When you're traditionally published, you turn the entire manuscript in.
Yeah.
You don't get to turn bits and pieces in. You turn the
No,
whole
I turn
in.
everything into her once I'm done writing it.
But she's working on it while she's working with you while you're writing, right?
Yeah. And then she she will go through her edit, the whole thing. And then she gives it back to me and I have to go over it again. So it's kind of a back and forth, but it's finished. It's a finished product. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. So many people have a different way of doing things, and whatever works for you works for you.
Yeah. Really,
we're all quirky.
Yeah, we found that it works really well for us for doing it this way because, especially my older stuff, if I have something that I wrote, say 4 or 5 years ago, I've changed as a writer.
Right.
I've grown as a writer. And what I wrote back then may have been great, but it's not going to cut it for me now. So the older stuff, I usually end up rewriting completely. And that's when she gets, after that, she gets it, when I start going through, so, but
that's a nice thing about doing indie is you do have that freedom to do that, which is really good. Then you can re-release it as a new edition. Yeah,
I mean, most of the stuff that I wrote 4 years ago hasn't been released yet. So when that book comes up on the line to be published, say next year, I want to publish a series set in the Middle East, basically in Dubai. But I wrote that 4 years ago. And so I know that I'm going to have to rewrite it because there are things that I've learned I'm doing differently, so it's not going to cut it. So
it's writing. I don't think a lot of people probably don't realize that it really is an art. There's a lot to it, and I think you can, if you can create, and I don't know, if you have your own voice in your writing, and sets you apart from maybe the other people, you know, in that same thing. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I found my voice finally. You know, it took
Good.
a little while. I found my voice, and yeah, I like my voice. It's
Well, that's
fun.
good. That's good.
I have fun with my
You have fun with your, well, Anne, is there anything else you want to, any parting words or
no, thanks. I really appreciate the time. It's fun. You know, I think that I consider it, yeah, it's a hobby or a business, the writing, but really for me, it's a ministry, and all my books are the focus on all my books has to be on God first,
absolutely,
and then on the characters. And you know, I love action. You know, I don't like books where there's no action. So I'm a very most of my books, like 9 out of, like most of them have action, and you know, I like combining
even though you're
that.
character driven, because
Yeah.
action is more plot than character often.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I don't, people are like, are you character or plot driven? I'm like, you know, I'm both.
Well, I think any good book is both.
I think so too.
I mean,
You know,
you can have a nice literary book where not much is happening, but you know, at least it has to be happening within an internal action happening within the character for it to be any good. And are all of your books on Kindle Unlimited?
Yes. Yeah, they are free on KU, all of them.
Well, not free, but free.
Yeah, well, they are free. I mean, they don't, you
Yeah.
know, once you have the
that's an invaluable little
yeah, I love
membership to have. I know
Yes.
it's nice to just grab all these books and read and not have to worry about buying them.
I know.
Paying a fortune otherwise.
Yeah, well, I know, right?
Right.
But yeah, there's no extra cost once you are subscribed to KU. So yeah.
Well, I will be sure in the show notes to put all of this information. If you get a website where we can actually find you.
That is so weird.
I know. Well, maybe it was me, and you know, I'm trying to Google it while you're talking to me. So maybe I did something wrong, but we need to have a link where I could link it into the show notes. So people can just click on it and find you that way.
Yeah.
But you are on Amazon. You can follow her on Amazon. Her books are all listed there. They're all Kindle Unlimited. She's got all these series. She's got lots of books in here. So
18.
give it a listen. And it's been so nice talking to you, Anne, and good to know you. And I wish you the best of luck getting into your house soon, I hope, before winter.
Yeah, we are. Well, I mean, we're in the house anyway. We've been glamping basically, you know.
Still.
But I just want it to be finished. And
so you don't have inspectors breathing down your necks, because here there's no way you could live in a house that's not done.
Nope.
California, you'd be booted.
Oh yeah. No. Nope.
Okay,
And that's why, yeah, which has been nice. I mean, you know, so we're just going to be finished, but it's going to be done. Everything is, you know, done, and yay. I can't wait not to have to go to town and do my work.
Yeah, well, that would be really nice. You'd probably be more productive too. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Anne. It's been a pleasure. And you all just check her out on Amazon, and hopefully I will have the link to her website in the show notes when this broadcasts on. Right now it's scheduled for January 19th. So God bless you, Anne, and thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.